Maybe you bought some for a special occasion or you got some as a gift. When your calla lilies have faded, guys, don't toss them, replant them, and they'll come back for you year after year with the right care and be even more beautiful with time. My name is Marlene. Welcome to our Home and Garden channel. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at the few things that you need to do to ensure that you have an abundance of blooms year after year and all season long. So calla lilies, as the name suggests, you would think that they are lilies, but they're not in the lily family. They're actually in the family called Araceae. And believe it or not, guys, they're actually closer to the peace lily and the anthuriums that you're seeing here than the true lilies. And the colored parts that you typically see on these plants, those are actually not the petals. Those are modified leaves called bracts. They're also known as the spade in this plant. And I'll put the spelling there for you. And the finger-like flower, it's kind of like a tiny flowers that are on there, like almost like a little finger in the center of it. Those are called spadix, and those are actually the flowers. They are perennials. They do come back for you, and it's just great that you can get this plant to be the gift that keeps on giving. So the original one typically would be the white one, the white variety, but over the years, you know, they've got many different colors for these plants. You'll see yellows, you'll see pinks, oranges, you know, some of them will even be multicolored. It's really nice to see how far they have come, but either way, they're gorgeous. I like all the different colors. Over here, they make great companions for other plants. You can see over here, they have them with, you know, like creeping Jenny in the side of the plants right there. And they just do so well with other plants. You know, they look so dramatic. But you can actually do this, guys. You can put these plants together and you can make it your own and can be just as beautiful over time. Just wanted to show you over here too, even in this flower bed right here. We were visiting Pigeon Forge and they had these out there. So sometimes you may want to use like contrasting colors, you know, opposite side of the color wheel. But in this case, I use the same colors and I think it looks so beautiful. If you think that's a good combination, be sure to give me a thumbs up because I think it certainly is and I thought it was just beautiful. I had to share that with you guys. So to ensure that you have lots of beautiful blooms, be sure to choose plants that are healthy. If you're giving them to someone or getting it for yourself, you want to look for leaves that look nice and green and fresh. Flowers should look nice and healthy, and also take a look at the you know, the base of the roots. This one isn't looking too bad, but they can be a little bit cleaner than this, and that really would be the ideal situation to get. Next you want to do is to choose your location before you choose your plant. And in this case, I'd say they prefer part sun. Sometimes you'll see they say full sun on there, and there's some varieties that are bred to take a little bit more sun. But the true nature of this plant really is part sun, where it gets 4 to 6 hours of sunlight per day. If you can avoid afternoon sun, that might be the best thing for them. Over here, I have them combined. You know, they make a good companion for my mophead hydrangeas, and they do so well next to each other. And I think they're so gorgeous. Just look at that, guys. You can see the spade and the spadix that's in the center. I just think they're such a beautiful plant. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next thing that we can do to ensure that we have success with these plants. And just to show you though, guys, that you can see how they're combined here with things like creeping Jenny. They're even putting them next to the hydrangeas in the garden center. So, you know, it's really good to be able to put these together for yourself and just see how they turn out. Next thing you want to do is, if you're going to be replanting the ones that you got, you know, try even before you get to the point of them fading out like that, to just snip off the older ones so your plant can put more energy into producing more leaves and more flowers, you know, and it'll keep going for a longer time. These ones right here, these were after like 5 straight days of rain, guys. So the older ones have flopped over a little bit and they will straighten back out because we got so much rain. I don't know if you did where you are. I'm in the southeastern United States. So the older ones like these right here, these ones you can go in, you can trim them off, you know, deadhead them, and they'll come back. You can see it's a little bit, you know, getting older down there, so you can take it out. And what I usually recommend, or what I make a practice of, is to just use sharp, clean pruners like these right here. And I like when it has a safety lock on there. And I'll put a link in the description box if you wanted to get something similar to this, but I wipe them off with rubbing alcohol to prevent the spread of disease on these plants. And so because, it is a softer tissue on these plants, it really needs to be sharp, and you just go in and make a clean cut through it, and, you should be okay. You can go a little bit further down as well if you would like to. So just make a clean cut and you should be good. Speaking of cutting, guys, in the fall season, you will want to allow them to come at least to this point before you trim them back. If you can wait even a little bit longer, then that's perfect. And if it's a little unsightly for you, those colors, you can always go in and just take out them, the more yellowy ones, and just through time you take off the ones as they fade out, so you can have it look a little bit more fresh if you're preferring that. As far as feeding them goes, guys, you would not want to feed them in the fall. Best time to feed them would be in the growing season, so like in the spring and summer. These, though, they need to have a low nitrogen fertilizer. So the three numbers that you normally see listed on your plant food, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, they should be about the same, or the nitrogen, the first one, should be a little bit lower. And I'll put a few examples in the description box for you if you wanted to get, something like this. Or guys, guess what? You can use banana peel water, because banana peel water is very, very high in phosphorus and potassium. So it's great. And I just wanted to take a moment to invite you to subscribe to our channel if you have never done so before. My husband and I, we do lots of gardening topics. We go do gardening DIYs. We take in, show you what's at the garden centers from time to time. We show you mistakes that we and others have learned from, so you can have an easier garden experience, and it can be wonderful for you. And if you haven't heard from us in a while, be sure to stop by, because we do weekly videos, and tapping the bell twice definitely helps to get you notified. So next thing to bear in mind is to make sure that they're in well-drained soil, because they really do need that. And if you are going to put them in pots, like a larger pot, you'll want to use potting soil, because garden soil is way too heavy for them, like in containers. And these containers will need to have holes, like you see my husband putting the holes in this pot right here, to make sure that they get proper drainage, because if not, they'll get root rot, because they grow from what's called rhizomes, kind of like a ginger root. And those will tend to rot a lot easier, because they're so large and they absorb a lot of water if it just sits in it all the time. So I'm putting mine right here in the flower bed at the side of our house. And this is an area that's really not used much. My hydrangea is there. So I'm going to have to go in, because the soil is kind of heavy. So I'm going to mix the compost along with the garden soil. I'm going to put like 3 parts garden soil to 1 part of the compost that I'm using there. It's going to be nice and fluffy, because, guys, I've had people ask me, you must have really good soil, where you are. I wouldn't necessarily say that. Soil here is quite heavy, so we have to go in and, take care of getting it light and fluffy. And you can see I have a weed matting right there to help to keep weeds away from this little area right here. And we also like to use river pebbles for mulch, on the side yard. And again, they say like these things, they tend to keep termites away, especially if you're in the southeastern United States. It gets very moist, and the wood and everything tends to pull them towards the houses. So it's good to, go in and make sure that you're taking these steps to just keep things as easy as possible around your home. So here I'm going in and taking it out. You can see, guys, this is heavy clay right here. So if I were to just dig the hole and just stick the plant in there, it would be putting them off to a bad start. So even if I were just going to put plant food in there, that's not enough. Some of this needs to really come out. And then we can go ahead and, put the soil in there to make it nice for them. Or, if you don't have the option to get additional soil, at least, make sure that you dig a very large hole, really mix it up a lot and put some, slow release plant food in there. And that will help them out a lot to make sure the soil is moist, so that way it doesn't burn your plants. So here I'm almost finished, and the hole is a little bit bigger than it looks, guys. The camera, sometimes the angle doesn't give you the true image, but I made sure that it was large enough, and I went in and dug everything in, mixed them around really nice, so the plants would be happy right here. And let me know what kind of soil is in your area. Do you have like sandy soil? Do you have heavy clay soil like I do? Or is it just really nice and, fluffy and loamy all the time? Because some people do have that. So it just depends on, where you are. So we're almost finished here. Just going in and mixing it around. And what I'll say is, when you're planting them, you want to be sure that, you're placing the plant in a hole that's twice as wide as the container that they come in. As far as the depth goes, you want to make sure that it matches to the depth of the container that they're in, and just cover them over lightly at the top, the nursery soil, with the soil that you're putting on top of it, whether it's from the potting soil or it's from your garden soil or whatever you're using, and then they should be fine. And I didn't get the clip of that last part for you, but this is what they were looking like, you know, after they were planted. They were refreshed. They look so, so nice. It was actually given to me by one of my neighbors, you know, and for Mother's Day, actually, 2 years ago. So I'm just showing you what I did back then, so you can see the progress of this plant. And guys, this is how it's looking this year. Just so, so beautiful. I got so many more blooms. So you can see that it does work. To the left at the back, that's one of the older ones, which we'll talk about a little bit further in the video, as far as, you know, taking care of that to make sure that we get a lot more blooms. And recently, you know, we went over to Home Depot to show you the different flowers that they have there. So you can take a look at this video. I'll put it at the end so you can see what makes them really good companions for plants like this, and for others you can see what's available. They had some really good prices there, and this is not sponsored, just letting you know as usual what's available for you out there. So in the fall season, this is what they're looking like right here. So you want to be sure that you're going in and allowing the leaves to turn yellow. So that's another thing to bear in mind. You will want to make sure that your leaves are turning yellow, and don't fertilize them, and just make sure you mulch them so that way, you know, they'll come back. You can cut everything off, you know, all the leaves off, and just cover them over with maybe about 2 inches of mulch, and you should be fine. And they have so many different options that are available out there. So you have, you know, we've used the river pebbles. We just put them there and it works out perfectly fine for us. It actually helps to, you know, keep the soil, you know, level all the time. So we love it. But whatever works best for you, you can just cut them down and just put it there. And it's so wonderful to see when spring starts coming in, you know, late winter, early spring, and they look like this. It's just such a wonderful sign of hope. And then we get to watch them, you know, how they quickly come up and just come into themselves. And before you know it, they start looking like this over here. And then as time progresses, then they start looking like this over here. So I really hope this gave you some great ideas, you know, as to how to take care of your calla lilies. You know, don't toss them, guys. Keep them, you know, if you got them as a gift. Same is true for your regular Easter lilies too. You know, just replant them and they'll come back with the right care for you. So I want to say thank you so much to my channel members, and to all those of you who share my videos out, or our videos out, with those that love gardening. Thank you so much for watching today. And if it's your first time, I hope that you will consider subscribing so you can journey along with us. Happy gardening. And I do hope to see you in the next one. Take care.